a little bit reluctant to accept privatization, because I think that privatizing public sector is not really a quite good idea, because I think that public sector could also play an important role as a redistribution policy. And I would like to put you in the picture, thanks to this short abstract. And all this paper has a main question, is why do countries privatize? Well, they found, thanks to this empirical analysis, that privatization takes place typically in wealthy democracies encumbered with high public debt and endowed with a deep liquid stock market. And but even the budget constraint and the legal origins of the country that is going to be of the country's legal institution matters. Indeed, the extent of privatization in terms of revenues and stakeholders appear more limited in civil law countries where shareholders are less protected and banks are powerful and even capital markets are less developed. I divided all this paper in two parts. In the first stage, I try to answer to the question, why do governments privatize, and why do some countries accomplish large-scale privatization programs and others never privatize at all, and moreover, how do governments privatize, and why do some governments privatize big stakes in SOEs, while others stick to partial privatization. SOEs is state-owned enterprises. In the second stage, the main question is, but once the privatization decision is taken, why does the extent of privatization vary so much across countries? They try to answer to this question thanks to estimation of the extent of privatization in terms of economic value of the assets transferred to the private sector and the percentages of stock sold. And they found that a deep and liquid market grants the absorption of large stake of SOEs to the private sector by producing information. A liquid market allows even better monitoring and increase the market value of the company who are going to be sold to the private sector. And to see the answer to the question I have already put, it's important to understand the determinants of privatization. First of all, we have political preferences, and the first policy is that right-wing government is more likely to privatize, and it should be associated with higher privatization revenue and higher percentages of stock sold. Our first models came from B.S. and Perotti in 2002, and they put this bipartisan model, and they have, in this model they have two parties, the left wing and the right wing. The right wing maximizes the utility of the rich, and the left wing maximizes the utility of the poor. And they have to collect, and they have, in order to win, they have to have the median class of voters. And they show that allocating a substantial amount of shares of privatized companies to the middle class, the right makes the median voter adverse to redistribution policies of the left and more prone to vote to the right. Then we have Chicheri and Perotti that said that even credibility of the government is considered crucial for the financial success of privatization. And this could even affect the percentages of stock sold. The second thing is budgetary conditions. For our second hypothesis, financial distress, governments should be more likely to privatize and should be associated with higher privatization revenue and higher percentages of stock sold. Here we have this model from Roland and Laporta between 1999 and 2000 that says that there is an incentive effect on the countries with financial distress, because they are incentive to speed up privatization in order to square public finance. And then we have legal origin. I divided this part in two parts. We have that opposed to common law countries, French civil law countries should be less likely to privatize and should be associated with lower privatization revenue and lower percentages of stock sold. We have that in French civil law countries we have really a large SOE sector, but is quite inefficient sector. But politicians in this sector are unwilling to relinquish control in SOEs, which is a powerful instrument of redistribution policy. There is even another little effect that is they are unwilling, they don't like to privatize because there is a poor legal protection to shareholders and to creditors. In the second part, we have that opposed to common law countries, German civil law countries should be less likely to privatize and should be associated with lower privatization revenue and lower percentages of stock sold. We have that that in German law countries we have even here a very big SOE sector, but it's a really efficient sector. So they don't have incentive to privatize because this sector is really efficient. And this is what Laporta says in 1999. There is even a solid protection to creditors and less to shareholders, but there is even an important role of incumbent banks. This is not been already theoretically investigated, this effect, but I think that one can claim that incumbent banks have a vested interest in financing SOE with soft budget constraints. The last one is that countries with more liquid stock markets should be more likely to privatize, should be associated with higher privatization revenue and higher percentages of stock sold. Here, Grossman in 1976 tells that liquidity is crucial because it facilitates information aggregation, and the liquid markets allows fuller extraction of a company market value. Here there is a very brief view of all the data they have collected. They collected data from 1977 to 1999, and they collected all the privatization transactions that were more than $500,000, and that are more or less 90% of the whole phenomenon. And they see all this data, they collect all this data among more than 2,000 major operations in 121 countries. And all this paper is collecting all the privatization that worth more than $1.1 trillion US. This is the results of the first stage. So so this could help us to understand the probability of privatization when it rises and when it decreases. But it's better to see directly on this table. We have that GDP per capita, that is the high economic development could affect in a positive way the probability of privatization. We have that even the legal origin right wing could affect in a positive way the probability of privatization, and even the variability depth affect in a positive way the probability of privatization. In the end, even cap and turnover, that are the developed financial markets and market liquidity, turnover is the market liquidity, affect in a positive way the probability of privatization. We have even the case when there are even a negative probability of privatization. In the case of German law, we can see that is a negative probability of privatization, even if we are collecting, even if we are going to see the data in the non-democratic countries. because they don't have legal institutions to put privatization on, so they don't have the probability of privatization. That is really close to zero. Next, in the second stage, we have two tables. The first one is regarding the revenues, and the second one is regarding the percentages of the stock sold. But we could go to the slide here. This is the table 6 that talks about the revenues. Here we have that only two significant results. That is, the first one is turnover. That I remember you, that is the liquidity of the market. That is positive in this table. And the second one is PO on deals, that is negative. PO and PS are two kinds of SOEs. PO are the biggest one, and the average of shares who goes to the private sector is more or less 24–30% of the society, and PS are the smallest one, and the average share of PS who are sold to the private sector is quite 64–70%. We could even see the same thing here in the percentages of stock sold in PO on deals. Okay, on PO on deals, that is really a negative variable on percentages of stock sold, because I have already said that PO are bigger than PS, and they privatize only an average on 24–30% of the whole company, of the whole firm. We have even that legal regions matter. Even here in French law and German law, here is a negative effect on the percentages, on the percentage of stock sold. And we have a negative effect even if the data are collected in the year of the future election. Here we don't have really a meaning of this, but I think that the incumbent politicians are unwilling to.
2 minutes.
Incumbent politicians are unwilling to give to the other party, if obviously they are going to lose, all the proceeds of the privatized. So they don't want to give them all the money of the privatized. So on the year of the election, they are not going to sell. For the conclusion, we have seen that privatization appears to be facilitated in a well-functioning financial system with a deep and liquid equity market that allows privatization of a large state-owned enterprise and to extract the full market value of the company sold. Second thing is that privatization seems triggered by high levels of sovereign debt to square public debt, as revenues can be allocated to square the budget, and privatization requires a suitable political and legal institution to be set in motion. As we see, the variable non-democratic is really negative, and in the data, the privatization in non-democratic country is really close to zero. And the assets can be credibly transferred from the state to the private sector only if the law provides adequate protection to private investment. Thanks.